It seems every year around this time, the UFC likes to return to Newark, New Jersey, and that's what they're doing with UFC 316 this weekend, putting together 2 title fights as well for the NJ folks over there, as we got the women's bantamweight title on the line in the co-main event between Juliana Pena and Kayla Harrison. And then in the main event, we got the bantamweight title fight rematch between Merab Dvalishvili and the man he won the title against back in September, Sugar Sean O'Malley. Mediocre card, let's be honest, from a main card perspective, although there are some fun matchups. Vicente Luque and Kevin Holland should be fun, not to mention the UFC debut of Bellator bantamweight champion Patchy Mix taking on rising bantamweight contender and public enemy number 1, Mario Bautista. All right, reminder, this is the quick picks version of the UFC 316 breakdown. I went over an hour earlier this week breaking down the entire card for you guys. So if you want more information on some of these matchups, where I'm just hitting the quick notes of every single fight, going 30 seconds on every single fight. If you want more information and get more details about why I feel a certain way about some of these fights, make sure you guys check out the MMA Logcast, which I dropped earlier this week. You can either check it out on my YouTube channel or check the link in the description below, as I have a direct link to that YouTube video. So, hit that up. All right. Without further ado, hope you're laced up and ready to go, because we're off and running with the first fight of the night between Markel Mederos and Mark Choinski. Choinski makes his UFC debut on short notice here. He was originally scheduled to defend his APFC title next week, but takes the short notice opportunity, and I believe he'll be able to showcase his NCAA wrestling on full display here, taking down Mederos, grinding him out, maybe threatening with a few submission attempts, but I expect Choinski to be very effective and eventually get his hand raised on the scorecards. Next up, we got Salkilld going up against Yanal Ashmouz. This is a very competitive fight, something that the odds don't really indicate, and this is a spot where Ashmouz could use his physicality to grind Salkilld out. But I think when it's all said and done, Salkild's skill advantage will be the difference maker, and as long as he can maintain distance long enough, he should be able to outdamage and outpoint Ashmouz en route to a decision victory. Next up, we got Saragih coming up against UFC newcomer Ju Sang Yu. This is a squash match for Yu. As long as he stays away from the big power from Saragih early, I expect Yu to take Saragih down to the mat pretty quickly, and from there I think he'll be able to find the finish within 1 round. Give me Ju Sang Yu via TKO or submission in round 1. Next up, we got Ariane Lipski going up against Kong Wang. Very fun striking battle here, but I fully expect Wang to be more effective with their footwork, distance management, and combinations, and I ultimately think she can land more effective damage throughout the 15 minutes in this fight, and I think she ends up chipping away at Lipski and winning this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got Chaos Williams going up against Andreas Gustafsson. Both these guys taking this fight on short notice after their opponents had pulled out. But I think this is a fight that favors Chaos Williams, and he was closer to minus 250 earlier on in fight week. Now finds himself around minus 190, and I think this is the perfect entry to take him to land more shots, shut down the grueling grappling game of Gustafsson, and outdamage Gustafsson en route to a decision victory. Next up, we got grappler versus striker here as Sergey Spivac takes on Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I fully expect Spivac to deal with Acosta's striking, eventually take this fight to the ground, keeping Cortes-Acosta on his back until that submission opportunity opens itself, giving Spivac the win by submission. Next up, we got Azamat Murzakanov going up against Brendison Ribeiro. I believe the fight might be a little bit closer than the odds indicate, especially if Murzakanov looks to lean on his striking just as he usually does. Ribeiro will have a huge height and reach advantage here, which could give Murzakanov some trouble, but I think it's just a matter of time before Murzakanov decides to get to his grappling, eventually taking this fight to the ground and finding that ground and pound finish. Next up, we got Bruno Silva going up against Joshua Van. It might be competitive early through the first few minutes of this fight, but I expect Van's classic style to come through as he batters Bruno Silva through the last maybe 12 and a half minutes of this fight and winning this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got Vicente Luque going up against Kevin Holland. Fun fight here, and a one that I've been going back and forth about over the last few days. I will stick with my prediction of Kevin Holland winning by knockout, but I think Vicente Luque is a very live underdog, especially if he can get to his takedowns and showcase his slick submission game as we've seen in the past. But again, Final prediction is going to be Kevin Holland by knockout due to his speed and knockout power. All right, next up, we got Mario Bautista going up against Patchy Mix. Very fun matchup here between a rising UFC bantamweight contender and the former Bellator bantamweight champion. But I think that we're going to see Bautista shut down the grappling game of Mix and then eventually outstrike him on the feet, showcasing that he is the better striker. And from there, he'll be able to put together more damage and win this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got Kelvin Gastelum going up against Joe Pyfer. I like me some Gastelum in this spot, as I think he can deal with the big power that Pyfer brings to the table, and then from there he can get to his own striking game where he does a great job of blitzing the pocket, landing big shots, and maybe even sprinkling in a few takedowns to get some control time. But I think Gastelum's durability, cardio, and strength of schedule will allow him to get this victory over the younger Joe Pyfer. All right, next up, we got Juliana Pena going up against Kayla Harrison. This is for the women's bantamweight title, and this is a spot where I expect Pena to fall short pretty heavily, as Kayla Harrison is much better than her in every spot than Pena is normally better than her opponents. Look for Harrison to utilize her physicality, her judo, her grappling to eventually get Pena to the ground, wear her out, and eventually ground and pound her en route to a TKO victory. And new bantamweight champion Kayla Harrison. And that brings us to the main event between Merab Dvalishvili going up against Sugar Sean O'Malley. Dvalishvili is just too much for a lot of his opponents, and not many guys are able to deal with this high pressure, high pace, and just insane cardio style. And even though O'Malley may have learned a few things from their first matchup back in September, I don't think he'll be able to come off with any of his traps or his wizardry in the striking realm, allowing Dvalishvili to control fights as he always does, grinding this fight out, winning it on the scorecards, and still UFC bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili. There you guys go. Quick picks for UFC 316. Got a ton more content coming for you guys in the next few days. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the YouTube channel. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow for a free parlay. See you guys then. Peace.